Hello, hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Sideline Speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network. As you guys can see, we have a special guest, the one and only Mel from Man Down Sports. What's going on, Mel?
Not
Thank
the
you for
one and
being here.
only. Thank y'all, man. Thanks for the invite, man. I'm ready to talk some sports, have some fun, man. This gonna be a good show.
Hold on, is there another Mel that I should be
Oh
aware
yeah,
of?
it's so many of them. So many males, man. So many males.
All
I'm
right, all
definitely
right.
not the one and only. I googled my name and I didn't come up. It was like 1,000 other people.
Well, what's going on, K Walk and Jay?
All is well, all is well. Looking forward to this great one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun show tonight, so I'm looking forward to it.
I see K
Absolutely.
Walk still wearing that daggone Yankee shirt.
Big
Take
big
that
series tonight.
off.
Big series tonight. Yeah, we got the Subway
Do the
Series. I'm
Phillies
looking
play the
forward to that.
Yankees this year?
I think they do. I got the schedule here, but I won't hold the show up looking at it though. But yeah, I think we
All right,
do.
all right, all right. That's cool. All right, guys, y'all ready to talk some sports? Y'all ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get started. I didn't know what to start with, so because I have a new segment called What Ifs, but we're gonna get into that a little bit later. I'm gonna start with this JJ Reddick situation. As we all know, JJ Reddick just had a press conference
Mm.
because he was recently announced as the head coach of the LA Lakers. I do have a clip for you because it goes along with my question, but I'm gonna say the question is: do you believe JJ about LeBron's involvement with his hiring? All right, so let me pull it up the video now. Here it comes. Well, see, I here. Let me try it again, y'all. Every week, I go through the same thing every week.
There you go.
Here we go.
And JJ, it's obviously no secret that you have a very close relationship with LeBron. He could have done a podcast with anybody in the world. He chose to do it with you. What was his advice to you throughout this whole coaching search process?
He didn't provide any advice. LeBron and I did not talk about the Lakers job until Thursday afternoon, about 30 minutes after I was offered the job. And that was very intentional on both our parts. I knew I had an understanding that he did not want to be involved in this. And for me, I didn't want to go down the path of hypotheticals with someone that I consider a friend and someone that I have a great amount of respect for. So for us, it just came down to literally Thursday afternoon. And I talked to him for about 15, 20 minutes and got off the phone. That was it.
All right, before I play the rest of this video, let's remove it off the screen. I just want to get your thoughts. Do you believe JJ when he basically says LeBron had no involvement in his hiring? You know what, Mel, you're the guest. I'm gonna start with you first.
The answer is no, man. No, man. Why would I believe that, man? First of all, if you turn the sound off and just watch him talk, you could already tell he was lying to us like a politician. Like JJ presents well, and that's why everybody's in love with him. He, for the same reason we fall in love with politicians that are in shape. They got the picture perfect, family, married, a boy, a kid. You know what I mean? All that they wear suits. That the moose, they got a part in their hair. Everything, like, he's a politician. That's what he is. They hired a politician. He fooled a bunch of people in the Lakers organization by talking about analytics and talking about how great he is as an offensive mind, and he just finessed his way. This dude just announced the NBA Finals, man. You know how many people has been in broadcasting, for how long they've been in broadcasting, who ain't got that opportunity yet. He's a finesser, man. He's the finesse guy, and I hope it work out. It just don't seem like it is, and there's no way this dude doing a podcast with LeBron, and before or after the show or the cameras are done, he's not talking about the fact that he's talking with Rob Pelinka about being the next coach of the Lakers. There's no way, especially knowing how Darvin Ham got fired and how AD and LeBron James both just threw him under the bus during the season, during the playoffs, like they didn't know what they was doing on the court, and obviously they was calling him out as a coach. And then you're not even saying nothing to JJ Reddick, but he knows all the right things to say to get this job, man. There's no way they didn't speak.
Jay, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm looking at some of these comments in the chat, and I think it's just being said LeBron didn't want to be part of the hiring process as a coach, that's pure comedy. And when you think about it, right? Like when you think about how LeBron has been involved in hiring coaches and getting coaches fired, it's just very hard to believe that him and JJ didn't have a conversation about this at some point. Like you said, even if it was just casual, even if it was like before we went live on the podcast or after a show was over and they're getting ready to go home. I mean, to think that they never discussed it, to think that they never talked about the possibility of it, it just doesn't ring true, right? So rather than to take that route, I mean, why not just talk about it? Why not just say, hey, yeah, we had some discussions about it. We both thought it might be a good fit or whatever the case may be. But to kind of present something in a way that very few, if anyone's going to believe it, it doesn't seem like the best way to sort of get things started in LA, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I think it's total BS. I work with politicians on a regular, not quite, but close enough to it. I met a couple congressmen, and just like them, JJ with that greasy black hair, could tell he's straight lying. We know for sure LeBron has something to do with it. Ain't no way in heck. I don't care what LeBron says. I don't care what JJ says. They're just trying to make it look good for the media, because they know it's out there. Because they know we are well aware that LeBron has maybe a little bit too much involvement in the organization's decisions at times. And to me, we all know he doesn't make the best decisions. We've seen it every time he gets too involved. The team doesn't do the best, perform necessarily the best on the court as far as flow and chemistry. Now, granted, on the basketball court, LeBron has excellent IQ. I give him that. But off the court, leave that to who is supposed to be with, and that's general managers, the ownership, that front office. But JJ is full of crap, and but like Mel said, he finessed his way right into that head coach starting job, and he's back to making millions and millions of dollars, which I'm pretty sure way more than he was on his podcast and well, you know what? I ain't gonna lie, that the podcast, you grow that could get you some dollars, but that analyst job
Yeah.
wasn't making nothing. But K Walk, your thoughts.
Give me that ain't making nothing money. Then if that's the case, we feel like that wasn't it. Give me that. Give me that. Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said for sure. I think as far as LeBron not being involved, I think LeBron was one of those guys who, walking down the hall with JJ Reddick behind him, he drops the answer sheet, if you will. So he gave him the sheet, he gave him the blueprint on what questions are going to be asked and how to answer them. I think LeBron did that in some sense. He coached him up a little bit there. He knew exactly what questions were going to be asked. So I'm not buying them. It's too much of a coincidence, and I'm not one who believe in coincidences by any stretch. Yeah. So them having a podcast and the rumors were out circulating very, very early. So with that being said, yeah, I think LeBron he has much power in getting a guy fired. He has much power in getting a guy hired, and that's his guy. And now, will he be a yes guy for LeBron? That's the question. I believe he will, and I believe that's why he got hired, without question. Yeah, JJ is a smart guy. Nothing to take away from JJ's basketball mind. He has a great basketball mind, and we've seen some coaches come through the ranks that have never had experience before and been successful, and some haven't been. But there have been some that are exceptions to the rules. But JJ Reddick is a guy who knows the right things to say. He's been coached. He's in the media, so he knows what questions are going to be asked. He knows how to answer those questions as well. Whether LeBron coached him up or not, he knew exactly how to win the press conference, if you will, and that's where it starts at with any new coach coming into any organization. You have to say the right things and believe it and come off with that persona that you're the right guy. They made the right decision here. So yeah, I don't believe LeBron was out of the equation as far as out of the loop as far as him being hired. I don't believe that. I think he has a lot to do with it, but I still think that a lot of it had to do with JJ as well. I don't want to say he was all robotic. I think a lot of it had to do with him as well.
Yeah, speaking of now that he got the job, so he's going to be in the locker room. No ifs, ands, or buts about it now. He's in that head coaching position for the Los Angeles Lakers, which, let's be real, that's a high pressured situation out in LA. They have high standards, high expectations. And I know I repeatedly said this time and time again, not only on the Sideline Speaks, but also on Man Down Sports as well, right? I've said on both our shows. How do you think this is going to impact? Now, we've spoken in the past about hypothetically, right? If he was to get hired, how do you think this is going to impact him now or impact the other players in the locker room? K-Walk.
Yeah, and that's a great question there. You wonder because again, we talked about how much influence LeBron had, and then how many guys know about this, and how much they know about that process. And if the process we're talking about is true, that LeBron had a lot to play with, a lot of these coaches, I mean, a lot of these players are going to look at this particular coach and say, listen, is this guy just going to listen to LeBron? Is he just a LeBron guy, a robot, if you will? Again, I use the term a yes guy. I don't want to use the word I want to say, but a yes guy, if you will. So with that being said, you got to wonder who they're going to bring in now, and what type of players are they going to bring in there? Are they going to bring in LeBron's guys? Now, are we talking about LeBron being a GM on top of being a head coach? I mean, if you will. So, yeah, I mean, I think you have to look at it, and you're going to wonder, like, if they get off to a slow start, if they get off to a losing record in the first 10 games, a lot of stuff is going to be magnified. How JJ Reddick is going to look after a loss, and what he says after a loss, and LeBron as well, because we all believe that LeBron had something to do with this. And then you're going to look at AD as well, because I know AD was lobbying for Danny Hurley. And then these other guys that are coming in as well has to have some questions about JJ, and how much control does he really have in the play call. And so it's going to be interesting to see, without question.
Yeah, I'm really curious how this is going to impact the other guys, how it's going to impact the locker room. I don't know. I just feel like JJ is a salty type of guy. One moment a player gets frustrated with him or irritated with him, like I feel like he's going to take it too personal. I mean, we've kind of seen it with Doc Rivers and other people from his past. Even in the press conference, I know I didn't bring this up, but the way he was talking about Doc Rivers, you could tell he was pretending to be nice.
The nice to say. He really
right. It was real hard for him to say something nice. So I'm curious to know, what that first interaction is going to be like with LeBron when LeBron gets frustrated with him. Because we've seen LeBron go head to head with a head coach if he doesn't like something. We see him act crazy on the court, bad at a referee's call. But that I'm curious about that interaction. But Jay, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, like I think it's a great question, because I mean, JJ played in the league a long time. I think obviously he understands the game. I'm sure he'll be able to draw up some plays and all that kind of stuff. So for me, that is the biggest question. Like, are these guys going to follow him? Is he going to be able to walk in that locker room and command leadership? And not even necessarily from LeBron, because you got to think LeBron's going to give him the benefit of the doubt coming out of the gate. But what about those other guys? What about the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th man on that roster? Is he going to be able to pull those guys along? So for me, I think that's the biggest question. And you're right, Britt. He does sort of have like a saltiness, or like, he can bristle at people from time to time. And you got to wonder how are guys going to react to that? So really, for me, over the first 20 or so games, I'm going to be looking to see, like, does it feel like this team is following him? Because I think that's the biggest question right now.
Mel,
I think they got it all figured out before, because if we can see it, they can see it. So they got all that kind of pre-planned and worked out. That's why it was important for them to let us know that AD and LeBron are 100% bought in, right? Because those are the two captains, and it's going to be very easy, because that's like a little trio. Like, they already been together before he even got the job, right? So he already got them. Now the guys that's on the bench, or the guys that's in the starting lineup with him, like Austin Reeves and Rui, if he starts and stuff like that, they're young and more impressionable. They still the young in the league.
Yeah,
very impressionable. Follow LeBron's lead. Easy to follow AD. It'll be easy to follow JJ Reddick. So all they got to do is make sure they don't get those vets that can see through his BS on the squad. They can't have a Morris twin in there, or somebody, well, not even Morris 10, because he passed his prime, but a vet that knows better, all right, and can back it up with his basketball play. So you got to play, you can't get one of those guys in there. You got to get someone who's going to be subservient to LeBron and AD, and they'll keep everybody in check for JJ because JJ is doing a favor for LeBron. Hey, look, man, I wanted to get you in here. I want to ham out. I wanted to make sure we get Bronny in here. Like all that stuff is a plan that they've been working. Get JJ in there, get Ham out, get Bronny drafted, and JJ is helping out all that out. So they're helping each other out.
Right, for sure. Quick, I want to head to a comment because I see a comment and they got me curious right now. So I want to get your thoughts. I'm not trying to go too far off. I'm going to try to stay on track here. But just to guys let you know, because I know I didn't say this at the beginning of the show, so I was going and put it in right here. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Sideline Speaks. We're live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We greatly appreciate your support. And if you comment or ask us questions live, we will do our best to get to your questions and comments. But this is from Greg Anderson, and he said, "Who is the smartest in the huddle? That's the biggest question." Anybody could take it. I don't really, because that had me thinking.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. I think, you hear people talk about LeBron. You hear Stephen A say all the time, he's a basketball savant. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard people say that about LeBron. I don't know. I think it's a good question. I think, as I saw someone else in the comments mention, like, why does everyone think JJ's a basketball guru, even though he's never coached before? I don't know that you have to coach in order to understand the game. I think he probably does have a pretty good understanding of the game. Obviously, LeBron has a great understanding of the game. So I don't know, Britt. I guess we could say it's a toss-up between those two guys.
Let me say this. I'm gonna just throw this out here real quick, and y'all tell me what y'all think. The reason why it seems like LeBron is so smart is because he's convinced every team he's been on to play the only way he knows how. So he's been playing this way his whole life. So it's his system. You get what I'm saying? Like it's his system.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you got a way of playing and you can convince it, like they tried to get him to play a different system in Miami, and they got clapped in the finals by Dallas. And Wade just said, "Hey man, I got to take a step back because LeBron can't play no other way. I have to let LeBron be what he is." That means I dictate everything. So all he's doing is what he knows how to do, drive and kick. He's been doing it his whole career, drive and kick. Everyone else has to be smart enough to figure out how to play with LeBron just doing drive and kick. So the answer to who's the smartest in the hustle, who's the smartest in the huddle, it's probably the player who learns to play and get his points on LeBron's team. That was Wade, that was Kyrie, that was AD.
I like it.
What?
Yeah, I was going to say JJ Reddick because of the fact of the matter is everything that Mel pretty much touched on is LeBron's way, and he just allows him to do it. So he's smart enough to know, to get the ball to LeBron. Everybody get out the way, spread it out, get open, find an open spot, and let LeBron do his drive and kick. And he's going to say, okay, that's what we're going to go with. So that's the smartest thing to do in the huddle, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with JJ Reddick here, man, because we all know that he's there to service LeBron. He's there to be LeBron's yes man. I can't say that enough. I just can't say enough.
that might have been a pause moment on a different show. But K-Walk, you bring up an interesting point because you're right. I mean, that makes sense, right? That he's there for LeBron. But there is, as Britt kind of pointed out, there is something about JJ Reddick that gives me a little bit of a feeling that he might try to do some things his own way because I think he has an ego. I think he's a little bit arrogant. So while what you say, it makes complete sense, to me, there's something about JJ that says, well, wait a minute, I know what I'm doing too, and maybe we should try it this way. So I think that's just going to be an interesting dynamic to see if how that thing starts playing out after they play 20 or 25 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be interesting, guys.
I did not mean it that way.
I cannot wait until the new NBA season starts to see how this entire dynamic, if of course LeBron decides to stay, which I'm assuming he is. But I do have one more part on this JJ thing. They asked him a question about his vision for LeBron. So let me bring that back up and just tell me what you guys think about it.
With LeBron look, you have to certainly get buy-in and talk to him about how he wants to play. Him and I have joked about this, but like, he shot over 40% from three this year. Like, I want him shooting threes. He's going to have his 3 or 4 bursts every game where he gets out in transition and does things that no one at his age should ever be able to do, but he does it. It's really just figuring out in the half court, putting him in different spots, both as a scorer and a facilitator. That'll be part of the conversation over the next couple months.
He wants him to shoot more threes. What are your thoughts on his vision for LeBron? I guess the math is mathing in JJ's mind. K-Walk, I'm gonna start with you, and then I'm gonna go to Mel.
Yeah, I was curious to know. That was my next question is, but I guess that that it poses it again, is that what is his offensive philosophy? What does he want to do on offense other than what he just mentioned? So I guess that's what it is. It's to get LeBron in a set where he's the facilitator, he's the scorer. So it's his offense. And Mel, alluded to it. It's like, we got to play LeBron's way or we can't play anyway. We don't have an offense. So I want to know what JJ Reddick offense does he want to do? Pick and roll. Does he want to does he want to space it out? I want to know what his philosophy is. I don't think anyone asked that question, and I don't think if they did, I didn't hear it. So I'm curious to know what he wants to do other than get LeBron, to be the facilitator and the scorer. I mean, that's, anyone can say that. Any coach can come in there and say that's what we want to do. Any your best player, I don't care. It doesn't even have to be LeBron. That's what you want to do. You want your best player to be your best player. But I'm just curious to see what his true philosophy is. If he was coaching, let's just say coaching the Nets. I'm just throwing that team out there, or the Knicks, or something like someone. I'm saying New York, so I'm in New York, ladies and gentlemen. Not a Knicks fan or a Net fan, nonetheless. But I'm curious to see what his strategy would be with a normal team.
Yeah, I think toward the end of that sound bite, and I think at the beginning he talked about what he was going to do with AD first, and he said making him the hub of the offense. And I can only imagine that he's talking about the way Sabonis or Jokic is, where they're facilitating a lot and passing out of the high post, or however he want to scheme it. But he wants AD to be able to create his own shot and facilitate a little bit, right? Like a Sabonis, right? So that's one thing he said. But then the other thing he said, he just want LeBron to shoot more threes because he shot it at 40%. And he also said on another soundbite that he's going to use math for his offense. So he's big on analytics. So it put you in the mind of Daryl Morey and D'Antoni and how they looked at the numbers and was like, and Mark Cuban is like this as well. They'll look at the numbers as far as percentages and analytics and all that stuff, and they're dictating what they're doing on offense based on what those numbers are saying. And JJ is just like that as well. So I don't like it. I like the fact that he want to try to use AD a little bit different than everyone else has. I like that part, but the part of just because LeBron shot 40%, I want him to shoot more threes, knowing, I mean, this year was an anomaly. I don't know if he repeats that, and he wasn't a great 3-point shooter when the playoffs came either. It's just not a good idea for LeBron to jack up threes. So that part I don't like. I don't like the fact that math and analytics is his go-to. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, it says it right here. LeBron shooting will regress to the mean, and the Lakers will be the worst shooting team in the league again. I don't know if they'll be the worst shooting team in the league again, but you guys know how I feel about analytics. I'm not big on analytics whatsoever. I'm big on the flow of the game, the chemistry of the game, the chemistry on the court. I think sometimes analytics will jack up the game. If we've seen that, people always want to shoot threes. I'm just like, shoot threes within the flow of your offense. Mid-range, the mid-range game is completely gone for the most part at least in the NBA. WNBA is a little different, but in the NBA, it's completely gone. And I'm like, LeBron shooting that many threes, that's not going to work. It's not going to work for this team. If you want to surround AD and LeBron with 3-point shooters, that looks a little bit different. I'm saying, okay. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not even sure about AD being more of a facilitator, I'm willing to try it out. I'm not sure if he's capable of doing it. I know what he's capable of doing in a post. He could shoot the ball a little bit, but to be somewhat of a ball handler, that's now we're asking something a little bit differently. It might be a little bit easier because, like we said, like as we all know, the defense in this league is really non-existent. So he might be okay with it. But so far, right now, I think for the most part, at least I am. I don't know about you guys. I feel like we're seeing through glass when it comes to JJ Reddick. Like we're kind of seeing right through him. And like we said earlier, he's talking a bunch of crap to make things sound good. But I don't know how it's going to work on the court. Jay, what's your thoughts?
I kind of like, I don't mind the idea of maybe running things through Anthony Davis. I think, look, when AD is on, when he's playing well, like, I mean, he's really, really good. He's very difficult to stop. So I don't mind maybe saying, hey, we're going to feature AD a little bit more. I do think they're going to have to figure out what that really looks like. I don't necessarily see him similar to Jokic as a guy who can maybe facilitate the whole offense, but having him getting more touches and run things through him, I do like. But I agree with you guys with LeBron and shooting a three. I mean, come on. I mean, if that's a key part of your strategy, I think you got to go back to the drawing book on that one, because even though he shot it well last year, right? Like the commenter said, I don't think LeBron's going to continue to shoot it at that clip. So, and also, is that something LeBron's going to want to do? Well, you know, like we talked about earlier, LeBron wants things a certain way. Like, is he going to be content standing out by the 3-point line to jack up a few more threes every game? I don't know. So it's going to be really interesting, guys. Really.
Yeah, and not to mention, we talk about JJ Reddick wanting to do things analytically and using math. The math tells you that AD is going to be available only 60% of the time.
That's true.
You want to run your offense with him? Good luck with that.
No, you're
Majority
right.
offense
The
gonna be
math also
gone.
tell you. Look, the math also tell you if LeBron throws the ball to Bronny for a game winner, he miss it, he go get blamed in the press conference.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, JJ Reddick, his time is ticking. I'm telling you now. After that press conference from the people who are literally true basketball fans and basketball savants, I already think his time is ticking, and it's ticking very, very fast. So, all right, guys. I don't know, Mel. This might be for you here. I know it's
it's like
probably
a couple of super
one of your
chats.
people.
I saw two of them.
Yeah, so I'm gonna shout them out for you. Super chats, Christian Woods, who said, "Sub all, I hope all is well with you guys and gals. I appreciate the gals. Thank you very much. If I missed one, let me know."
He said guys first though.
Whatever, Mel. Whatever, Mel. Whatever. Appreciate
You got
like,
another one a
and
little bit
support the
up
podcast.
the ways, Britt, as well. Another chat. I'll put it on.
Okay, here we
if you
go.
want to get it. Yeah.
Thank you. Michael, I'm not good with last names. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, but it looks like Silbird. Please correct me if I said that wrong. $2 super chat. Will JJ and LeBron friendship survive?
Is the friendship real? Is the real question. They just became friends when they started the podcast.
The podcast, yeah, right.
So they're not even real friends.
That's
I really feel like at some point in the year we're going to see those two clash heads. I really do, because I think at some point JJ is going to say, "Look, I'm the coach. This is what I want to do," and I think those two are going to bump heads before at some point throughout the season.
We'll see what happened. All right, guys, we're gonna move on from this segment because I had enough with JJ Reddick and his greasiness. I'm tired of him, but we'll have enough of him for 82 games, maybe the playoffs, depending on how well he coaches next year. But I got a new segment.
I'm starting a Lakers podcast just for this season. All I'm doing is hating. No, it's different. It's not a support podcast. It's an anti-Laker podcast. It's a hate podcast, man. We just gonna start it off. We only recording on the days they lose. And oh man,
you know what? That might be good. I might actually join you on that one. Might join you on that one. All right, guys. I got a new segment that's called What Ifs. This is NBA/NFL. We're going to start with NBA topics first and then go into the NFL. Because if you don't know, if you're new to the Sideline Speaks, our channel, again, we appreciate the support. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and share. Share and subscribe as well. K-Walk and Jay, two former D1 top end football players. K-Walk was what we like to call wide receiver for Temple University. Jay was a DB safety for Penn State University. And they both not quite, y'all didn't play for the NFL, but y'all had NFL tryouts, I believe, right? Something like that.
I played in the I played in the CFL for with Edmonton a little bit.
And K-Walk played in the CFL. I'm still learning a lot of new things, although I've known you guys for a few years now. Stuff you got to tell me. Oh, and Jay was on Oprah, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Did she give you a card?
That trumps me.
I didn't get a card, Britt, but I did get a hug on my way out.
I don't want the hug. I want the card. I'm just playing. All right, guys. So this new segment is called What Ifs. And basically, I'm going to just start off because it's going to be self-explanatory. It's going to be something that actually occurred, but what if something else happened? What are our thoughts? How do we feel this player would have done? How would we feel this team would have done? First one, we're going to start off somewhat simple, familiar. As we're well aware, 2001 NBA championship, you had AI and the Sixers versus Kobe and Shaq and the Lakers. The Lakers ended up winning the championship. But what if Shaq was on the Sixers with AI instead of Kobe in 2001? Would AI and the Sixers be the champions? Or would they have a good season? And where will Kobe be at? Who wants to start? I know this is new. Mel, let's go with you first.
The Sixers will win it if they had Shaq and Iverson. You know, I think that's it. Do the Lakers get a game? Ben that they could exploit Allen Iverson being 5'3". Oh, I'm sorry. 6'2". 6'2". You know what I mean?
5'11".
You know, I think Kobe probably would. I mean, because Iverson got one game against Shaq and Kobe. I think Kobe could get at least one with that Lakers squad, possibly two. I think it would have, been a little closer than it really was the other way around, man. But because it's a mismatch for Iverson to try to guard Kobe or Eric Snow to guard Kobe. It was a mismatch for everybody. Aaron McKee couldn't guard him. Nobody could guard Kobe. So you got more shots for Kobe. Imagine him shooting as many as Iverson was, 30, 40 shots. And then Phil Jackson still would have been a coach, so they still would have been in the triangle. So whoever their small forward was would have just been their pseudo Scottie Pippen, so that triangle would have helped facilitate a lot of points. They played defense. They just wouldn't have had Shaq. I mean, just take a thought of when Shaq used to foul out, or when he fouled out in the championship against Indiana, and Kobe was like, "Don't worry about it, I got it," and he took him home. You get what I'm saying? Right. And imagine Kobe being able to do that for 4 quarters. Be Kobe, be Jordan in a triangle offense with Phil, defensive oriented team, and all he needed was a competent co-star somewhere close to Pippen's level. Who's that small forward that they won with? Well, they had Ori, so Ori Ori was a taller Scottie Pippen with Houston, but just played a different role once he got to the Lakers. He was I catch and shoot, I play defense. Rick but Fox. he was capable. Yeah, Rick Fox was there. He was capable of being a sidekick if he wanted to. So Lakers would have made it more interesting with Kobe alone than Iverson did alone.
Yeah, I have some people in the chat saying, do the Lakers get Mutombo? Give him Mutombo. Mutombo was old. Yeah. Give him Mutombo. For me, I do think it'll be closer. I do think the series would have been a lot closer. I still think at that time, Shaq was just very dominant. Of course, your two main stars was AI and Kobe. That's what everybody was coming to see. For the most part, that's who I was coming to see, I should say. But Shaq was just pure dominance versus Dikembe Mutombo. I will say, I do agree. Lakers had better shooting. They had better shooting than the Sixers did. But I do think a lot of the Sixers players, if you include Shaq in that, they had good defense. And I think that helped propel the Sixers to where as far as they got at that time as well. Because I think they had Aaron McKee with them. mind you, that year AI was averaging 33 points per game, I believe, that entire year. And then the next best player was Aaron McKee. He only averaged about 12. So going into that series without the what if, they already had a struggle going against Kobe and Shaq. But if you switch Shaq over, I do think the Sixers will win it, and I do think it'll be closer. But Jay, what's your thoughts on this?
You know what? When you first asked it, I thought it's easy, right? Shaq is going to be the difference. But then I'm looking at the Lakers roster, and
tough.
like, yeah, I agree. You got Iverson and Shaq, right? But then after that, I mean, the Lakers are going to be a lot deeper. They had obviously Kobe and Derek Fisher, but Rick Fox, Devin George, Horace Grant, Ron Harper was on that team. Robert Horry was on that team. So when you're talking about like 4 through 8, the Lakers obviously would be able to, run more guys at them. But even with all that being said, I still think Shaq probably tips the scales. Even if you give the Lakers Mutombo, I think it gets interesting just to have a big body in there. But I don't see how you pick against Iverson and Shaq. So I'm going to take the Sixers in 6.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm just reading this comment. Yeah, I just, yeah, this is funny though. I'm gonna go. I think the Sixers win it, man. I just think Shaq was the most dominant player, at that time, and I believe he won the MVP for the NBA Finals MVP that year as well, if my memory serves me correctly. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with Karan there. I
sweep?
think it would. Yeah, it might be, man. It really might be because if you look at the
Nah, it ain't gonna be a
Sixers
sweep.
squad as well, gentleman sweep. Then we'll call it a gentleman sweep at best. But yeah, nothing to take away from Kobe, but I just think Shaq was the difference in that series. I mean, and throughout the playoffs, throughout the season, and that's why they got where they got, and he won the MVP finals there as well. Without Shaq, I don't think the Lakers could have done it, and to give the Sixers Shaq with AI, and they had a nice supporting cast as well. Nothing to take away from the Sixers supporting cast. I'll go Sixers. I'll go Sixers here, and just to be nice, I'll give it to in a gentleman's sweep in 5. Yeah, I think Shaq is the difference, man. Go ahead.
K-Walk, AI had a great night and stole game 1. Like,
Facts.
you don't think Kobe could have put together a couple great nights and stole a couple games?
And look, not just Kobe, Kevin. Like this comment right here, he said Glenn Rice and Robert Horry didn't generate offense. Y'all didn't see them play before they got to the Lakers. In the triangle offense, there's not one person generating offense. The offense is generating the offense. But when you send Glenn Rice in Charlotte as an all-star, and that's all they had in Charlotte, and he was generating offense and doing it well. I mean, come on. And even when he was with Miami, he was there with Brian Shaw, Billy Owens was there. They probably had Bimbo Coles, Matt Guy. Like Glenn Rice was that dude, man. Y'all just because he turned into a catch and shoot player, just like Ray Allen did with Boston, you do that on the championship team. You kind of dim your light a little bit for the greater good of the team, right? But Glenn Rice was very capable if they needed to be. If they didn't have, Shaq,
I'm not taking anything away from the Lakers. Like I said, they had a nice supporting cast, and when I said no disrespect to Kobe, but based on the question, you put Shaq on that Sixers team. I think they win that series. I just can't see it.
I do too. I agree,
player.
but Kobe and Phil in that triangle offense, they get in 2 games.
I'll give him 1. I wouldn't be surprised if they get 2. I'll give him 1. I don't see it happening. I'll give him 1.
All right, guys, let's move on to the next one. This is a lot more. This is good. This is going good. I like this. All right, new segment going good so far. Next one. So I told y'all to pay attention to the 1988 Clippers. Not necessarily indirectly about the team. Yeah, I guess so. More directly about the team. But there was,
Bo Kimball. I don't know if you're talking about him.
There was a potential trade that could have happened, almost happened, or could have happened. It was in the talks during that time, and it was about Michael Jordan. What if Michael Jordan was actually traded to the Clippers for the 1988 number 1 and 6 draft picks? Will he have the same success with the Clippers? Jay, I'm gonna come to you first.
Man, that's a great question. I want to believe that Mike still would have won some. Like, does he win 6? I don't know. Like, I think a lot of that has to do with who's coaching the team. Like does Phil Jackson find his way to Mike? Like, so like, do they run the try? Like, I think there's so many variations and possibilities that could happen. But if you're just saying like Mike goes to that team and everything else stays the same, I think Mike, for me, greatest player of all time. I think he figures out a way to win, but I don't know that he gets 6.
Mel, your thoughts on this? A little bit tougher.
It's the Clippers, man. So
Yeah, right.
I mean, what they just got a remember they talked about I don't know if you heard Matt Barnes when they talked about it. The Clippers didn't have a practice facility. They was practicing like at the Boys and Girls Club in like the hood where they had to keep the door open so their cars wouldn't get broken in. Send him the GOAT to a place like that. He wouldn't have been a GOAT. He would have been a great player. He would have been better than Dominique Wilkins, but he wouldn't have surpassed Bird and Magic with a organization like the Clippers, man. So yeah, he would have got one, but it wouldn't have been with the Clippers. He would have ended up having to go somewhere else. And yeah, the Clippers they just wasn't ready for a star like Mike.
Yeah, I agree. I think he would have ended up having to get traded somewhere else. I think kind of like how we used to see OKC, or what's the one in football where you go and that's where your career dies? Was it the Panthers right now? Might be the Panthers.
The Raiders.
The Raiders.
My bad. Raiders.
Yeah.
Raiders.
Don't pick Devontae Adams in fantasy this year.
Mind you, the NBA, it used to be OKC. It's not OKC anymore. We gotta find a different team. Where you used to trade them off to go and die. That would have been that situation. I know Michael was happy that trade did not happen whatsoever, but it was definitely in the talks. That's what the Clippers was trying to do. But of course, the Bulls was smart enough to say, nah, we got to keep Jordan because I don't think he'll be introduced to who's his head coach. His name's not coming to me right now.
Phil.
Phil.
Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson. He wouldn't be introduced to Phil Jackson. He wouldn't be introduced to the triangle offense, and most likely he definitely wouldn't be introduced to people like Scottie Pippen and those 6 rings. So, K-Walk, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, he's not winning 6. I don't even think he gets 1. He'll be, like Mel alluded to, he's going to be a great player. He'll probably go down as one of the greatest players of all time. He wouldn't be in the GOAT conversation. I think he'll just be in that conversation like maybe a Kobe, something like that. Just a great player. But maybe he wouldn't. Maybe not Kobe. That's a different. That's a different. Let me go a different comparison. Maybe a Dominique. Maybe like a Dominique, a great player that just never won a championship. To be honest with you, so I don't see that. Yeah, Mike, as great as Mike was, I don't think he was great enough to pull that organization out of the dump.
Do you think Nike would have forced the Clippers to shape up?
Yeah, I think so. If he played and lived up to the expectation, lived up to what he lived up to, absolutely. Yeah, someone had to force him out. Someone had to get him out of there because that's anytime you go there, that's generally when you get hurt. We saw Ron Harper because Ron Harper before he was that guy that played with Mike and played with Kobe and won those championships. He was there. He blew out his name. A couple other guys as well. So yeah, that's some place you definitely want to go. So I definitely think his agent and to your question, Nike as well would try to get him out of there as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely would have been interesting. All right, guys, you ready for the next one? Because we gotta move on. Trying to keep this thing flowing. Trying. It's another basketball one. I'll save the NFL ones for last. And this is another trade, and we are all familiar with the trade, so nobody was too young for this one. This happened in 2011. I believe it was right after the lockout. What if Commissioner David Stern never vetoed the Chris Paul trade to the Lakers in 2011? What would that success have looked like? Mel, I'm gonna start with you.
I'm trying to remember that roster.
Me too. Me too.
Hold on, let me give me a second. I'm pulling it up right now. Phil Jackson's the coach.
Kobe was on there.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So they had Bonham. I don't know if that was the year that Bonham kept getting hurt though. Blake Matt Barnes, Shannon Brown, Fisher, Paul Gasol. So Odom was still there. So they got some of the guys they won with. If they bring Chris Paul, I mean, I think they would have. I can't remember who was getting traded in that trade, though.
That's what I was going to ask too. Who was involved in that trade?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think it was Powell. It might have been Bynum and somebody else. But I definitely think it would have prolonged the Lakers winning ways, because they right after the championship they got swept by Dallas in the first round. Kobe was just tired, right? And bringing on somebody like Chris Paul that was hungry, a little bit younger than Kobe, who got leadership capabilities, who want to win just like Kobe, I think that would have kind of rejuvenated him. And when the times that he felt like he was doing too much, I think CP3 could have took some load off of him. Yeah. So I think they would have been more competitive than they were when they lost 4-0 to Dallas. I don't know if they get back to the finals, but they definitely more competitive for a couple of more years.
So Mel, before you finish your thought, let me tell you what who they agreed to part ways with. It was Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom in exchange for Chris Paul.
They would have had to. That's not enough. They would have had to make another move.
And odds are, with Phil Jackson being the head coach, most likely they were planning on it.
Yeah, they would have had to make another move. They also tried to trade Odom to Dallas as well. Like they was trying to get help for Kobe, because they knew he needed another running mate, and I think the guys that helped them win before they just wasn't go do it. But yeah, I don't know. That's tough, man. It's crazy because CP3 was almost in Miami as well with the big three. Tough. And that just came out from Wade saying that on Carmelo Anthony's podcast. So I thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, I agree there, because I was gonna kind of bring it up too, like of who was involved in that trade. And if you say Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom, yeah, I don't think it would have been enough. I mean, I think it would have helped them a little bit, but I think they would have had to bring some more pieces in there to replace at least one of those guys. Pau's size and Lamar Odom's versatility on the offensive side. I mean, he's long, hit the three. Yeah, I think had that happened, they would have had to made another move, and to your point, Brett, they would have. So I think it would have helped them, and I think they had a legitimate chance of winning the championship that year for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think they would have had to make another move. I think knowing the Lakers organization, Phil Jackson, how smart he was as a head coach, Kobe Bryant, just his mentality and his will to win. I do think they would have got a little bit further than most of us probably would have thought. Even if it was just Kobe and Chris Paul and the rest of those role players that was on the team at the time, I could see them getting to at least the second round of the playoffs that year. It's just something with Kobe. Same thing with Michael Jordan. Regardless of the team that they were on, they just have a will to get things done. And then Chris Paul, at the time, we were talking about, he was one of the best point guards, if not the best point guards.
Point guard.
Yeah, point guards. The reason why he was called the point guard at that particular time. We can't think about Chris Paul now. Chris Paul clearly is not the same player. But back then, he was better defensively. He could shoot from anywhere on the court. His IQ on the court was amazing. He probably picked off so many people. He's moved so much quicker. And I agree with Mel. He would have gave Kobe a breather when he didn't have to. Kobe wouldn't have to have done so much. And I think at that time he had a similar mentality, not quite like Kobe, but to play hard, and he had the will to win as well. But Jay, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, y'all correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like at the time of the trade, like when they were talking about it happening, it was almost like there was a reason Stern didn't want it to go through, because it seemed like a lot of people thought, oh, this is going to give the Lakers such an unfair advantage. And I could be wrong about that, but at least that's kind of how I remember it. So
Jay, when you finish, I'll tell you what I think it was when you finish.
Okay. So I don't know. I think I agree. I think it would have made them better, but without adding another piece, I don't know if it would have made them good enough to win a championship. But a Kobe and a Chris Paul in your prime, that's a pretty darn good foundation to start from. And if they could have added another piece, then I think you're looking at a real contender at that point.
Yeah. So this was what was going on. That was the year AD was coming out. AD was in college that year, right? Everybody knew he was going to be the number one pick, right? So this what was going on with New Orleans. They didn't have an owner, so the NBA owned the team, right? That's why David Stern was involved. So David Stern had two roles in it. When a trade comes through, the team owner has to approve it, and then the commissioner has to approve it. So David Stern was both. He was the owner and the commissioner. He didn't approve it as, I guess he didn't approve it as the owner, because he was trying to sell it as the commissioner, which is weird, right? And they had already had in principle a deal with the owner of the New Orleans Saints. He had already agreed to buy it, but he bought it. Imagine if you're an owner and you're buying a team with a superstar like Chris Paul that okay, I'm gonna sell some playoff tickets because we're going to the playoffs, and I got a superstar so I can sell some tickets. Imagine if the NBA traded your superstar and then tried to sell you a team that was going to be a non-playoff team with no superstar. You can't even sell tickets.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
They vetoed it for that reason. But I guess they had a bright idea and was like, oh, we can just give him AD. We can give him the number one pick and he'll still buy it. So the next trade, they went on and approved it. That's how CP got to the Clippers. He went from one LA team, got disapproved but they approved the Clippers. That was the afterthought, like, oh man, we just rigged the lottery and give him AD, which was weird. And the footage don't exist no more, but I watched it live. When they did the draft lottery, the new owner was there with the paperwork, but he signed it after he got the number one pick, and then he signed it on national TV being the owner. So I'm like, man, it was almost like they was like, look, we gonna make sure you get the number one pick. But he was like, I'm not signing nothing until I'm for sure. So I think that's what it was, man. They was trying to sell the team, and the owner didn't want to buy a team without a superstar.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely does. But it definitely would have been interesting to see how that dynamic would have worked between Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant. Can you imagine Kobe screaming and yelling at Chris Paul? I guess he was young at the time, so it wouldn't have mattered. All right, two more guys, then we got to move on. We're going to switch over to NFL real quick with the what ifs, and then I got a different topic to talk about. What if this is the 2000 draft, being what Tom Brady has become now? What if Tom Brady was drafted by the New York Jets in the first round, 18th overall pick, instead of drafting Chad Pennington? What happened to Chad Pennington? So what happened? He was the first quarterback. Chad Pennington was the first quarterback to go that year. It was the 18th pick, so that's why I put Tom Brady at that 18th pick spot. Would Tom Brady have his 7 rings?
No.
Mel, just go ahead. Take it.
First of all, Chad Pennington was better than Tom Brady, right? Chad Pennington had a weak arm, in my opinion. He played with Moss.
Moss.
Yeah, he had a weak arm, in my opinion, and then he tore his shoulder up, which made it even worse, right? So that's what happened to Chad Pennington. But he was better. I mean, even Drew Henson at Michigan was better than Tom Brady. So Tom Brady got a perfect situation. He's determined. He's got a drive. So that turned him to that helped him become a good quarterback. But if he would have went to the Jets, oh man, he would have been out of there quicker than Chad Pennington.
Yeah. I don't think the Jets. I don't think Tom Brady will survive. He would not be what we know him as to be right now. I think his mentality, he will still end up being a great quarterback. But I don't think he'll be considered one of the best of all time with 7 rings, going to the Bucks, winning that 7th ring basically on his own. I just feel like the Patriots at that time, they played a major part in his development and helping him the way his career went. Bill Belichick, the offensive guys, great minds that he would hire to bring on to the staff to really help to build Tom Brady's career. and what it ended up being. The New York Jets did not have that type of staff. They didn't have that type of system. They didn't have that type of support whatsoever. Not
And they
at
had
least
that
not at
defense.
that time. Right. Didn't have that defense. Nothing. So I don't even think he would have won one if he would have been drafted by the Jets. I mean, I don't even know if he would have stayed there long, but I don't even think he would have won one Super Bowl. But Jay, I'm gonna come to you first, and then K Walk take over.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think he would be the Tom Brady that we know today. I mean, there's so many things that go into a player being successful in the NFL. It's not all just whether or not they can play or not, especially at the quarterback position. It's the organization, it's the people around you, it's the coaching staff, it's the offensive scheme.
Right.
Like there's so many things that determine if you're going to be successful. And like you kind of pointed out, Britt, he just kind of came into a perfect storm in New England where everything sort of just worked out and fell in place for him, and a coach who believed in him, everything. I think if you're in New York, it probably doesn't play out that way. You know, even from a media and fan base perspective, are they going to have the patience to kind of watch you go through growing pains? All that kind of stuff factors in. So he probably would have been a good quarterback, but he certainly wouldn't be someone that we're talking about as one of the greatest of all time.
Trent Green at best, maybe Rich Gannon.
Yeah.
Woo, K-Walk.
I don't even think he would have been that good, to be honest with you. I mean, the Jets organization, another takeaway from what he's able to do, is just that organization would have just messed everything up for him. Look what happened with Chad Pennington. It's really hard to say with this one because, Tom Brady went late rounds. And I mean, we talking about late round, sixth round, I think he went?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hard. So he wasn't even being looked at in those eyes. So if they were at the time crazy enough to take Tom Brady, at that point, I still think Tom Brady, there was just nothing around him. I think if I remember that draft correctly, I think that they had Laverius Coles was their receiver. I forget who else they drafted out of Florida State. I forget who else was on that team, but there was just no organization there, no structure there, no coaching there. We see what this organization is, what it is right now. It's in a contending situation because all of the moves that they made and bringing in Aaron Rodgers. But up until this point, I mean, they've just been messing it up season in and season out. So yeah, I'm going to say he would not be anywhere. He'd be lucky if he won 70 games, maybe. They probably that. I mean, he'd be lucky. Forget 7 Super Bowls, but 70 games would be great. I mean, would be would have been his goal with New York. That's crazy though to think about that.
Real quick, I gotta go to what Greg Anderson said. You said Brady wouldn't have the rings, a supermodel wife, a kids. He would have had a drug problem, a baby mama scandal.
Man, that's rough right there.
I had to shout that one out. That was funny. It could have been true too.
But y'all,
right,
the funny thing
go
is
ahead.
though, real
Go ahead,
quick, Britt, because I just pulled up their record like from 2000 and on. Like they were 9-7 in 2000. They were 10-6 in 2001, 9-7 again in 2002. Like maybe they were a little than we remember them in the early 2000s. Could Brady have been that thing to push them over the top? I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying I believe it, but maybe they weren't as bad as I remember them. Winning 9 or 10 games over those 3 seasons.
No.
Well, I guess we'll find out this year with the Jets if Aaron's that thing to push them over the top. I don't think so, but hey, let's move on to the next one. One more football, then we move on to the next topic. What if 2014? This is for all my Cowboys fans. I understand you're still butthurt, and I don't give a damn. But what if the refs didn't overturn the Dez Bryant catch in the 2014 divisional playoff round against the Packers?
Super Bowl.
Would they have eventually beat the Seahawks to go to the Super Bowl? So that's my question right there. Would that team have beat the Seahawks to go to the Super Bowl? Because the Seahawks won the Super Bowl that year. I think they beat the Broncos. Let's see. K-Walk.
No, I
Come
I
on,
just think
K-Walk.
that nah, man, Jay, come on now, absolutely not. With that defense, that Legion of Boom, man, and Marshawn Lynch, running that, toting that rock, man. I just think they had the perfect combination to win the Super Bowl. They had a great defense and they had a really good running game, and that's complementary to to success no matter what team you are. So yeah, today that would have been a catch. But if they would overturn that, yeah, I still don't think they win. They lose the next game, or whenever they match up to. Did they played Seattle? They would have played Seattle the week after. Is that correct?
I think
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
No
would have
matter
been
when
the
they played them,
yeah.
it don't even matter when they
Right.
played them. Yeah, they would have got beaten in that game for sure. I just think that when you had Chancellor and those guys, Richard Sherman, they were just too physical for those pretty boys in Dallas. So I'm going to say they wouldn't have won anyway. They wouldn't have got farther than that.
Mel, what's your thoughts?
I agree. That defense was too special, man. That was on a mission that year. I don't think anybody that saw them in the Super Bowl was go have anything for them, man. So yeah, that defense was just too special, man. Cowboys would have went home after that. But I mean, it's still jacked up, man, because it was a catch.
Is that a Dallas
Was
fan?
it?
Smell? Is that a Dallas fan of Cincinnati?
It was
Are
a
you-
catch.
Are you a Dallas
Yep.
fan?
No,
we know? Oh. Okay.
So Jay
Wow.
claims to be a Dallas fan, but as we know, Jay switches up every year. Did you choose to be a Dallas fan this year, Jay? Or are
I
you not
haven't.
sure yet?
I'll make an announcement in August, Britt. I'm still working it out. But no, I mean, as much as I want to say they might have got to the Super Bowl, I think you guys are right. That Seattle team, I mean, they were just ridiculous that year. Yeah, when you're going to play defense like that, but then also, like K Walk pointed out, to be able to run the ball with Marshawn Lynch, I mean, they would have just been really hard to beat. So as much as I'd like to say, hey, that maybe that would have been the year that Dallas actually got it done, I don't think it would have happened.
Yeah, same thing for me. I think I would have been mad as heck. I'm not gonna lie to you if if that was counted as a catch because they was on their way of scoring. Um, but yeah, I think that Seahawks team at that time they was just too great. Jay, you mentioned it. No one was stopping Marshawn Lynch at that time. He was just a bulldozer coming, and he could move as a bulldozer. Um, Although I'm not a huge fan of Richard Sherman, Richard Sherman played well. Earl Thomas was playing great.
Oh yeah, Earl Thomas.
Um,
Yep.
was
Cam,
Bobby was
Cam,
Wag was Wagner
Yep.
on the team then?
yeah,
Mhm.
Cam
Yeah, Wagner
Chancellor.
was on the team
Yeah.
then. It was a reason why they
Yeah,
were
they had a
called
squad.
Cam Chandler. It's the reason why they was called the Legion of Boom. Like that
Mhm.
defense was something different, was something special. And then Pete Carroll, I thought was really coaching at the top of his uh just at the top. He was an excellent top. I couldn't finish the line. He was an excellent coach at that particular time. He's not even a coach right now. I just realized that. I think he's part of their organization, but he's no longer their coach. But yeah, and Tony Romo, come on, let's be real. He would have choked eventually. I think that was Tony Romo at the time. Let's be real. Like he would have choked. I actually like him better than I like Des Bryant. I'm sorry, not Des Bryant. Dak Prescott. I'm saying it. Yes, I am. I don't care. But they both choke artists. It is what it is. And they would have faltered just like they always do every single year. You do what the Cowboys do, and that's choke. Sorry, Jay, you better switch your team up. All right, guys.
Britt, this just end this year's Cowboys year. Just let you know that. It's just in
This is
Cowboys.
this is
This is the Cowboys year.
every
Yeah.
year.
to not make the playoffs.
Every year,
I
right?
got you.
Every year.
K-Walk, you know I can't give him that one. All right. All right, let's go to our next topic. Again, first and foremost, I just want to thank you guys for watching us today. Just want to thank our special guest Mel for coming in and being a guest again from Man Down Sports. Plug your stuff in, Mel, before I go to the
Hey,
next
man.
topic.
On YouTube, man. Find me on YouTube, Man Down Sports. We got a Facebook page and group as well. So you search Man Down or Man Down Sports on Facebook. That group is still growing, and there's a lot of fun in there, a lot of debate going in the group itself. So, whether you want to watch the podcast or whether you just want to join the group and do some sports debate, man, we got both of those things for you, man. But we definitely want you to go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe to us there.
Absolutely. Please do that. And I do join them on Fridays. I'm trying to get Mel to get me on more, so convince him to get me on more, y'all.
Get her on more, Mel. Get her on more, Mel. Come on, Mel. Come on, Mel.
Uh, I'm messing with him. We had that talked already. He's like, I'm
we
more than
already,
welcome to come.
we already had. And whenever,
You can call me out, Mel. I'm cool
and
with
both
it.
of y'all too,
Huh?
both of y'all too, man. Whenever y'all want to come over there, man,
Appreciate
we have fun over there, man. So it's a good time.
Yes,
it.
absolutely. And then those who are watching us for the first time, thank you. Please also subscribe to our channel as well, The Sideline Speaks. Again, we are live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We are also anywhere you get your podcasts. We're there as well. And then we also have an X, Twitter, whatever the heck you want to call it, at the Sideline at Sideline Speaks. On YouTube, we are at The Sideline Speaks. All right, the next topic, guys. Going to the WNBA. Miss Angel Reese has become a Twitter beef between two people. I'm gonna bring up exactly what they said on Twitter, and this was between former Cowboys star wide receiver Des Bryant and current ESPN's analyst Stephen A. Smith. I know he gives a lot of us a headache here, but we're gonna talk about him about not praising Angel Reese on her historic run in her rookie year. Let me just bring up real quick. If you guys can see it, I'm gonna read it to you anyway. So Des asks, I don't see much praise on the historic rookie run Angel Reese is having in her rookie career. He added Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp. And you know Stephen A. can't help himself but to reply. He said, man, for once, will you stop your BS? Shannon Sharp has praised her continuously. So have I, even profiling her excellence on numerous occasions. It's on our social media pages at Stephen A. Smith. He got to plug himself in. That's weird as heck. We talked about her on First Take. If you want notoriety, can't say the word notoriety, just say so, bro. You need attention. Just ask to come on the dang show. I'm not gonna curse, but stop lying. Stop lying. Des Bryant said, "Say pimp." Gotta say it how you say it. Say pimp. Don't ever in your life play with me talking about that. I don't give a beat about none of that. Don't get mad at me because I'm calling a spade a spade. Y'all pick and choose. End of story. So literally, I just want to get your thoughts on this. Do you guys side with, not necessarily side, but do you more agree with Des Bryant? Do you think they praise Angel Reese enough, or is it just when they talking about Caitlin Clark, that's when they bring Angel Reese into the situation? Jay, I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, Britt, I think what you just said there at the end is probably more accurate. I don't watch their show all the time, but I do try to catch it here and there. And I don't, and maybe I missed it. I don't remember them doing a whole lot of talking just specifically about Angel Reese. It seems like she's always paired and part of the larger Caitlin Clark conversation. So I feel like anytime we're talking Caitlin Clark, then as a side, Angel Reese comes up. Maybe they did talk about her. Maybe they talked about how well she's playing, but it doesn't. I think, number one, I think she's played better than I certainly expected her to play. I mean, she's been absolutely phenomenal. And I don't think, just the national media in general has given her the same kind of credit that they've given, obviously, Caitlin Clark and even some of the other rookies, like even Cameron Brink before she got hurt. She was getting a lot of praise for the way she was playing, but it almost felt like Reese was a bit of an afterthought. I think the way she's playing now, it's going to be hard for people to ignore her. I don't know that I really side with either one of them here, but I do think Des Bryant does have a point that maybe Reese hasn't gotten the attention that she deserves.
Mel, what's your thoughts on this?
I got a couple thoughts. One, I just seen a clip of Stephen A. Smith, his podcast yesterday, or maybe yesterday, and he was mentioning Angel Reese, but it's probably because he tired of getting called out about it. So he did it as a check in the box, right? So it's just like Jason said, even if they do mention her before, it was in conjunction with praising Caitlin Clark and mentioning Angel Reese, and then with a check in the box, throw her stats out there. Oh, she's doing good, but it's not an emphasis on it like they really want to do it, other than just a check in the box, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is I lean toward Dez's train of thought because he's right. They're not covering her, and that's the reason why she has to do it herself, right? So I hear so many times Caitlyn fans and Angel Reese detractors that say she's too loud. Why is she so loud? Why she can't be more like Caitlyn? Caitlyn hasn't said anything about her, hasn't said a word, but Angel Reese keep bringing her name up or keep saying that it's just not one person. The reason why she's doing it is because she's the only person that's going to speak up for her in the media. The reason why Caitlin Clark is keeping her mouth closed is because the entire media is speaking for her. You get what I'm saying? If Angel Reese says something, that the whole media is coming against Angel Reese and protecting Caitlin. If someone hard fouls Caitlin, she don't have to say nothing. The entire media is going to come and speak on her behalf against whoever hard fouled her. So it's easy to say Angel Reese talked too much and Caitlin Clark is taking the high road when she has that opportunity to do that. Caitlin don't have to say a word. Angel Reese is the only person that's speaking up for herself and a select few people, and that's a tough position to be in when you feel like you have to toot your own horn just to get some attention that you deserve.
It's called self-promoting. That's why I like that, self-promoting.
Go ahead, K Walk.
No, I'm in agreement with him right there. But he's spot on with that. And that's what he said. He's tooting on the horn. She has to do that because everything that Mel just mentioned. You guys know how I feel about Stephen A. I called him out a couple of weeks ago, about how he's not covering, the WNBA and the whole situation with him and Monica McNutt. Right. He's came out and said it with his chest that he's the executive producer. He makes the topics. He's the one that puts the topics, the main topics here and there, and then he'll go back, years or months ago, saying, okay, well, I had this, I talked about, Angel Reese there, I talked about, this person there. Yeah, but Des is not saying that. He's not saying you never did that, Stephen A. He said you don't do it consistently enough. You don't do it enough, man. I mean, she has right now she has what, 8 straight double doubles right now, the WNBA rookie record, man. When we talked about on this show before the season started, we talked about how we perceived Angel Reese were going to be, what kind of season she was going to have. All of us, well, I'm not sure about Britt, but I know Jay and I were in agreement that we didn't think her game was going to transition to the WNBA. We thought she had to work on some things, her mid-range game, things of that nature, and so be it. I mean, she's a walking double-double. I just mentioned that. She's 13 and 11 right now. Arguably the rookie of the year candidate. I know we're going to get into that a little bit later, so I don't want to jump the gun there. But yeah, I'm siding with Des. Yeah, I say all that to say I'm siding with Des because of the fact of the matter is that Stephen A. doesn't talk about Angel Reese like Jay alluded to, unless Caitlin Clark is thrown into the mix, unless she puts up 26 and 10 triple double or whatever, or she's fouled hard or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I'm siding with Des here. I do think that First Take has to do a better job of shouting out Angel Reese and for what she's doing, without Caitlin Clark in the mix. 8 straight double doubles. I know they may have said it in passing or something like that, but give her the props like you're giving. Give her the recognition that you're giving Caitlin Clark because she deserves it right now, without question.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Every time I turn on Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp, it just seems like to me when I hear them, I rarely ever hear them praise Angel Reese. It's always about Caitlin Clark. It's always about something else that's going on. I'm not even sure how many times they mention Angel Reese and what K-Walk just said. The fact that it's she had 8 straight double doubles. I think she's one of the first rookies to ever do that, if not the first
only
rookie
rookie,
to do that. Yeah, the only rookie to do that. They don't talk about stuff like that. They just play along with the rest of the media, what we see on every other national television show or in the media of Caitlin Clark is great, Angel Reese, and she's doing what she's an okay player, but Caitlin Clark is our standard, and it's like, well, wait a minute here. Give her praise as much as you give Caitlin Clark her praise. Because, in my opinion, I think she might win the Rookie of the Year because she has been more consistent than any other rookie in this current classes right now. I love both players, but Angel Reese, I mean, from her leadership to her hustle, the way she plays the game, You know, her teammates love her, fans love her. Mel, I think I texted you and said, wait a minute, Angel Reese got international fans. She got people traveling from Greece, but the
Yeah.
media doesn't want to talk about that. That's big stuff. Like, give her flowers just as much as you give Caitlin Clark her flowers, because to me, yeah, I think as far as the states, we understand what Caitlin Clark is doing and bringing in new fans, but what about internationally? How come we're not hearing nothing from that perspective? Because it might be a different storyline than what the media may want. You know, when I seen that Angel Reese has so many international fans, that just blew my mind. It blew me away. Um, so, and Greece was just one of those countries. It was many, many more. So, give both the appropriate praise. Give both their young flowers. I know they both still have a very, very long career ahead of them. But I know K Walk, you said the same thing about Stephen A. and HBCUs. Once
Mhm.
Deion Sanders left, we don't hear nothing else about
No,
HBCUs
no.
anymore. So, you know, I try to give a lot of respect to Stephen A., but Stephen A. Smith starting to become a little bit of a fraud. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
don't want to say that
Yeah.
too loud, but I'm gonna say it loud. You put a little bit of fraud.
Mhm.
Any final thoughts on this, guys?
Caitlin Clark fans mostly are made up of Trump fans that are using Caitlin as a political tool to attack everything that they don't agree with. Every time they start talking about things, they mention the WNBA and they mention lesbians. They mention DEI and black women and all this stuff. Like they're using Caitlyn to push back on everything that they dislike. And that's what I see from it, and that's why they so it seems like a cult almost that's following it, because it's the same type of people that's following Trump.
Caitlin crazies is what they call them.
Yeah, and the thing about that too is that it brings in people that aren't necessarily basketball fans, right? They're
Right.
Caitlin Clark fans, but they're not necessarily basketball fans, and definitely not fans of the WNBA, right?
Mhm.
So the perspective that you get from them is just so far out there. But I do, and I think this comment right here does make a good point that like those guys are in the TV business, and it's their
Mhm.
job to get numbers, it's their job to get ratings. So you can't really fault them for making Caitlin Clark the headline all the time, because there's a large portion of the population that wants that coverage. Go ahead.
I'm a fuck them. Go ahead, Mel.
So if you got a popular player in Caitlyn that's bringing fans, and a popular fan in Reese that's bringing
Thank
fans,
you.
if you uplift them both, you get more fans. But they're only
Preach.
uplifting one.
I
Preach,
I,
brother.
I
That's what
agree
I was
with
saying,
that,
same
but
thing.
I think what I would also say is, you know, it's a story, right? And every story needs a hero and a villain, and they've painted Caitlyn as the hero, and they've put Reese in the villain role, and in order to really have your hero, you got to kind of lift your hero up and put them at this certain status, and I really feel like that's sort of the phase of this story that we're in. So, but you're right. I mean, Reese obviously. I mean, we Caitlyn usually gets all the credit for, like, when they start talking about the numbers and how the WNBA is, you know, the fans that are coming out and the TV viewership and all that. They usually like to give Caitlin Clark all the credit for that, and we know that that's not the case. Angel Reese has brought a lot of viewership. The Las Vegas Aces were selling out all their games last year before Caitlin Clark was even in the WNBA. So there's a lot more to it than just Caitlin Clark. But if the story sells, that's what the media is going to go with.
Yeah. And
The
Caitlyn's an
stories,
innocent bystander. She's still my queen.
the story sells because that's what the media want to sell, and I've always known that. The media is another thing about this. You know what? I'll get to it in a second. But Mel, I just want to thank you for being on the show. I know you gotta go. Next time, just
Yeah, thanks
interrupt
for
me.
that. Hey,
I'm,
fella,
Appreciate it,
I'm
brother.
cool with
I
that.
wanted to stay for the whole
Just,
thing, man, but
just
my daughter
interrupt
got
me.
track pack. I'm sorry. My daughter. I was trying to explain to your other host that, you know, I'm not just bailing out. I want to be. I come back to be for the whole show, but my daughter got track practice, man. So I was,
We understand, man. We're
Completely
fathers up
understand,
here
brother.
as well, so
Absolutely, brother.
we get it.
Absolutely.
All right, Mel. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate you. you're
Appreciate it, brother.
welcome back. As you know, anytime you want. Don't you better
Yeah,
not say
man, we got to
nothing
have you on.
on that
That
one.
was it was a great time, man. That
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on.
Man, no problem,
For
man. Thanks
sure.
for the invite,
But
man.
Mel
sir.
from Man Down Sports, please. If you're not already subscribed to him, please go subscribe. And I'm there every Friday as well. It's a lot of fun, and the show is just amazing. All right, Mel. See you later.
All right, thank you. Bye.
All right, so I'm gonna just finish my point real quick on the media, because I felt like, you know, Caitlin Clark, yes, she does have a lot of popularity, but we all know the media pick and chooses who they want to put in certain positions. And it's been
For
like that for
sure.
hundreds of years. The media has a way of, I don't want to say brainwashing, but convincing people to go in a direction that they want you to go, to support the people that they want you to support by highlighting certain um, positives or negatives. And we've seen that right now with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, which is unfortunate. They could absolutely chose Angel Reese if they really wanted to. Like, let's be real. They could have chose Angel Reese and they could have pushed her forward and pushed her up, but they just chose not to. And if we know the history of the media when it comes to anybody of color, they tend to knock us down more than they build us up. Unless you get someone like a Michael Jordan or a LeBron James of that status, and there's just no other players that can really compete, or just in general. So, to me, that's what was going on there. Any final thoughts on this?
The only thing I'll say is like the way that Reese played on that national stage. What was that, Saturday or Sunday afternoon? Like what she did on that national stage with
Yes.
everybody watching. Like if they were trying to hold her back before, like it's she's undeniable at this point. Like you got to talk about her because she was phenomenal that afternoon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Angel
I
Reese.
agree, Jay. No, I was just going to say I agree with Jay, and then like Mel kind of alluded to, he touched on, self-promoted. We talked about that after that game. She said, she's a dog, and I said in our text that she should. Well, I said it that I don't like the fact that she does it. Maybe I came off the wrong way. I don't like the way that she has to be the one to call herself a dog. It should be other media people other than outside of us.
Right.
Stephen A. Big her up, call her a dog, because she is that. She's playing like one right now. So yeah, I just think that you mentioned, the color and they're not getting recognition, or Angel Reese is not getting recognition. Stephen A. I'm going to continue to call you out until you step your game out. I know I may be just a little guy to you, man, little fish in the big pond, but nonetheless, man, I'm swimming nonetheless. So with that being said, man, Stephen A., you got to step up your game, man, because First Take is the biggest one on the stage right now, if you will.
Absolutely. I think we all should go and tweet them or add them or whatever they call it now, because I know it's called X, and say, hey, do better. Do better. All right, guys. You know what? We're not even going to go into break. Jay, I'm going to just throw it over to you because I know I went way past my time.
No, you're
and
good.
I know you
Britt.
got more. I know you got more WNBA topics and some couple NBA topics for us. So
Yeah,
just
no,
gonna throw it
that's
over to you.
perfect timing, Britt, because I do want to get into this WNBA Rookie of the Year. Obviously, we just talked about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. It seems like they're really the only two that have a legitimate chance to win this Rookie of the Year. So what do y'all think as of right now? I know the season's not even half over. And we still got a long way to go. They're going to take the Olympic break and all that. So there's still a lot of basketball to be played. But when it's all said and done, K-Walk, who do you think wins the WNBA Rookie of the Year? Well, tell me this. Who do you think wins it? And then also, who would you give it to? So two different questions.
Yeah, I think that you would give it. I mean, you would. I think Caitlin Clark wins it if both players continue to play the same way they've been playing up to this point, which we expect them to do. I think Caitlin Clark 15 right now, 15-5 or 15-6 and 7, somewhere around there. 15 points, I think almost 6 rebounds or 6 assists, 7 rebounds. I don't have the number. I know it's 15-5 and 5 at some point, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I think that's good. And she started off rough. She's been, I think she's starting to understand the game, the physicality of the game, the speed of the game. You can see it starting to slow down for her. And as far as taking those hits, she's showing how to avoid that. But Angel Reese and doing what she's doing, No rookie has done this before. Just 8 straight doubles, 26 and 13 on Sunday in a winning game against against Caitlin Clark, mind you. It came down to that. So with that being said, I think Caitlin Clark gets it, but I think Angel Reese should win it, in my opinion.
So you think they'll give it to Caitlin, but
I think
Reese would get your vote.
Reese would get my vote, yeah, but I think
Okay.
they'll get on to give it because everything we talked about Caitlin Clark. I just
Yeah.
think it's just a no-brainer.
Britt, where are you at on this? They're both having historic seasons. K-Walk pointed out that the 8 straight doubles for Reese. Caitlin Clark, 15-5-5. Her and Jackie Young are the only 2 players in the league averaging at least 15-5-5. So they're both doing things as rookies that have never been done before. But Britt, who do you think wins it, and which one of them would get your vote?
I don't know. I might be leaning towards K-Walk as far as with all this popularity, I just feel like it might be a huge uproar. Caitlin Clark don't get it, and all her fans once again will create something out of nothing. And granted, like you said, Jay, she's playing fantastic as of right now. She's definitely improved. You could tell she's starting to get more comfortable with the game. The speed of the game, the physicality, she's starting to get a little bit more used to. And I do like the adjustments that the Fever had to make. She's not always the primary ball handler as much anymore. They have her coming off more on screens, which I think she's better suited for that role. I'm still not sure if she's still the best player on her team right now, to be honest.
Chelsea Mitchell.
Right. Chelsea Mitchell. Aaliyah's Boston's play has drastically improved since the beginning of the season as well. And I think that had a major impact also. For me, it's Angel Reese by far. I just love her consistency, her leadership. Everything you ask her to do, she does on the court. I wasn't sure how she would fare coming into the WNBA because I know we talked about her potentially developing that 15, 16 foot jump shot. And she still hasn't done it, not quite yet. And her footwork still needs a little bit developing in the post. But man, her hustle and her mentality is a second to no one right now. And she's just a rookie. You had Asia Wilson come out and say Angel Reese is something special. So for Asia Wilson, who is the best player and to me the face of the WNBA, say that speaks volumes. So for me right now, due to her consistency and all that she does on the court, I gotta go with Angel Reese.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, especially if they both keep playing well, right? Like if they both keep playing well and kind of stay where they're at with the numbers, it's going to be very interesting to sort of see how that thing plays out. I don't know. I kind of agree with you guys that I feel like Caitlin Clark will probably win it. But, someone had also mentioned in the comments that maybe they'll do a co-rookie of the year if it's that close. So
thought about that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Very interesting. And again, like this comment pointing out that Reese was the 7th pick in the draft. I mean, there were a lot of people picked before her because like us, there were a lot of questions about if her game would actually translate to the WNBA that quickly. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. She has a winning record. I think Chicago is 8 right now, and Indiana is 9. So they're 8 and 9, fighting for that last playoff spot if the playoffs were going to start today. So
Jay, in that last game between the Fever and the Sky, whoa! First of all, the way the Sky came back again on the back of Angel Reese, because they were down 15 points.
Yeah, they were down 15.
Fourth quarter.
Yep.
And she put that's when she had her best game, 25 and 16 or something crazy like that, 26 and 15. I probably switched them numbers around. Like to me, that's what really put her ahead in the race was that particular game.
Yeah, and the other thing too, and I don't know how much voters will take this into consideration. But Britt, you keep talking about Angel Reese's leadership. I think and I don't want to sound like a Caitlin Clark hater because I'm not. Like I like Caitlin Clark. I think she's got a really good game. I think she's going to be really, really good. So I don't want to come off as somebody that's just hating on Caitlin Clark. But if we're talking about rookie of the year, like, do some of her antics, do some of her body language, do some of, like, there's a clip out there. I don't know if you guys saw it. Like, one of her teammates was taking a three and she was like, oh, like, why are you shooting the ball? The shot happened to go in too. But does some of that stuff hurt her case, K-Walk, for the rookie of the year, or is that something that the voters aren't even going to look at?
Yeah, they're ignoring that, Jay. As much as they're going to say, well, we didn't see that, or we're not, factoring that in, they see it, but they're going to just basically just base it on her play, the numbers that we mentioned, the numbers that we laid out, the wins, ultimately, especially if she gets into the if they make the playoffs. They were 1 shot away or 1 point away or 2 points away from winning that game and being in a playoff spot if the playoffs were to end, today or yesterday, whenever the case may be. No, I don't think they're going to look at that, Jay, because we point that out time and time again when we're watching the game and we're texting in our group chat and we're saying, they're going to have body language again, or, Caitlin Clark's going to stop with that, But no, they're definitely not going to factor that in, because if that's the case, then Angel Reese is not going to get in. She's not going to get a vote because, what she does, off the court, as far as, her saying she's the villain, with the shoes, with the Joker shoes and things of that nature. So I don't think they're going to factor anything into the equation other than their stats on the court and their winning percentage as well. And I liked how you guys mentioned how much of a leader that Angel Reese is, because I see her not only just a leader and talking off on the bench, but just how she moves everyone around, doing the offensive set. Like, you go here, she just knows the offense, like she's been there for years, and she's always putting everyone in the right position. So I'm glad you guys pointed that out, because I've noticed that time in and time out.
Yeah, very impressive for a rookie. Britt, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I kind of agree with everything that K-Walk says. Look, I understand players get a little selfish at times, or they get frustrated or upset, and they may say something or react in a different way. This rookie of the year needs to focus on the game itself, the stats, the winning percentage, how well they played over the course of the game, over the course of the season. And to me, consistency matters. What were you like when you first came in during the middle of the season, towards the end of the season?
Exactly.
Were you healthy? Because Cameron Brink was in my rookie of the year top 5, and I had to remove her because she's out. So that's what rookie year focuses on. But I will say this. The media does, maybe instead of focusing so much on Angel Reese in that side, if Caitlin Clark is doing those things, then point those things out as well. I need equal opportunity amongst all things. So, but no, right now, Angel should win it, in my opinion. I hope she gets it. But let's be real. The way things have been going, I'm not sure if she will, which is unfortunately unfair.
All right, last question about these two. Then we're going to move on and talk about Sha Carri Richardson a little bit. But if you were starting now, and look, I know we're only, let's just say, almost 20 games in, so it is a small sample size. But if you were starting a team and you could take Clark or Reese for the next 10 to 15 years, who you going with, Britt? If you're the GM, you got the draft pick, Clark and Reese are available. Who do you want to be the cornerstone of your franchise?
Are we throwing in Rickea Jackson?
If you want Rickea, you could take her.
I'll be honest with you. It wouldn't be neither one of them. I know I'm crazy. For me, it would be Rickea Jackson. Okay. I'm telling you this now.
Okay.
Is that an option? Is that an option, Jeff?
If you want Rickea, take her. You can take Rickea.
Because Rickea, she does everything. She can shoot the ball well. She plays defense. She gets rebounds. She can assist. She's a playmaker. Right now she's still trying to get comfortable, but she's starting to get comfortable. I think at one point, her last so many games, she was averaging like 15 points. One game in there, she was just, Yeah,
she's been up and down, but the talent is there for sure.
Yeah, it was up. It was that one game. It was like, but that talent, I think she'll end up being the best. She might not have the best career because that depends on the team and your team players, your team members. But I think she'll end up being the best overall talent in this particular draft. I would take Rickea Jackson.
Okay.
World Breaker in the comments is calling me out right now. He said, out of those two, That is
She does.
hard.
She does that, World Breaker. She does that.
I do. You may not see it on Fridays on Man Down Sports, but
Mhm.
on here, I might do it every so often. That is hard because look, Angel Reese, although she doesn't have necessarily the scoring ability, her hustle and her mentality, her leadership, like she creates that overall culture that you want in that locker room. So it's like, do I start with that? And she'll get it done in her own way on the court, and I have to surround her with the right players. But then Caitlin Clark, she's already coming out being the best shooter in the daggone draft class, right? And her playmaking abilities to me is amazing. I love how she reads the court. She got to develop her right side. She's still going too much into the left. She still has to develop that right side and be able to do different things coming off that right. But
Who you
I'm
taking,
sorry,
Britt?
guys. I know I'm going around Jay. You calling me out? I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna go with Angel.
Okay.
And the reason why, not necessarily because of just talent on the court, because I love the culture. I think culture is important, and I think leadership is important as well. I think it's easy for me to get the players surrounding them, but players love Angel Reese. She got veterans on her team that just love her personality. So I'm gonna go with Angel.
Okay, well, who you got?
That's
Yeah,
hard.
man. When we always pose this question, man, I always start with a big person. I mean, a big body or an inside person. I always want to start my teams inside out, build my teams, I should say, inside out. And with that being said, I'm going to take Angel Reese because I need someone who can be a rim protector. She's somewhat of a rim protector, but she
Right.
can rebound the ball, and she's great at offensive rebounds. Second chance points are huge, in any league, and whether it be the NBA or the W. So I'm taking Angel Reese. This was a no-brainer for me because I just think that everything that she does on those boards and second chance points, and she gets fouled a lot and she makes those free throws as well consistently. So if you can get a forward or a center who can do that consistently, I'm going to take Angel Reese every time because I think you have Caitlin Clark's out there who could do that. Britt mentioned
Right.
Rickea Jackson and then we talked about Kelsey Mitchell, and then so forth and so on. So there's a bunch of those, but there's only a handful of Angel Reese's out there. So I'm gonna start with Angel Reese.
Okay, I think I'm going to go the other way. And the question
Okay.
was who's averaging the most points between. I think Caitlin's averaging 16 right now, and
16,
Reese
yeah.
is at about 13, so not a huge
Yeah.
Right.
difference. And obviously Reese is winning the rebound battle, but Caitlin
Mhm.
would be winning the assist battle, obviously
Yeah.
based off of position. But I think I would go the other way. I think I would take Caitlin if I was starting my organization for the next 10 to 15 years. I think the upside, I think that the ceiling for Caitlin, if she can find what she was in college, is going to be a little bit higher. And then they also, after watching her the last few games, she's starting to learn how to control the game. So she's not just trying to be a scoring threat. She's assisting the ball extremely well. She's been rebounding the ball, and she's really in control of that entire offense. So I think if she keeps projecting on that level, I think over the next 10 years, that's probably the direction that I would want to go. So I'm going to take Caitlin over Reese if I was starting a franchise.
That's all right, Jay. You take Caitlin. I'll take Angel. And then when Juju comes out, I got Juju.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got Caitlin, you don't need Juju, right? So
Well, she
take
might be
Angel.
number one. So
That's
hopefully,
true.
hopefully they're number one.
There's some good bigs coming out too, though.
Yeah.
So I could get a big as well. All right, y'all. Let's get off of this. Let's hit two more topics before we get out of here tonight. Is it Sha Carri or Sha Carri? I think it's Sha Carri, right?
I thought it was Sha Carri.
It's Sha Carri. Okay. So we
Mhm.
saw Sha Carri the other night win. She came in first, and what do they call it? The US qualifying. What do they call it? K-Walk. It's losing
Olympic
me.
trials.
The Olympic trials. Olympic
Trials.
trials.
Oh yeah, I thought it
Olympic
was
trials.
Yeah.
So she came in first in the
Made me
Olympic
think like I was thinking
trials.
so. I thought they called it Olympic
No.
trials.
Olympic trial, she came in first. She looks great. Obviously, she's been through a lot. Heading to the Olympics this summer. Simple question: is she going to bring home the gold? K-Walk.
Yeah, Jay, you know what? If she stays confident the way she's been in the last, I don't know how long, it's been, what, 2, 3 years, maybe two. I know we talked about it, some time back, where it seems like she lost her confidence, especially with that whole, the drug thing or the marijuana thing. She seemed to lose her confidence. But now, if she can do it, Jay. She definitely can do it, but she can't afford to come out the block. She can't stumble out of the blocks, man, and she cannot do that. She's been doing that too consistently. So and still running great times, mind you.
Yeah.
But I don't think if she stumbles out of the blocks in the Olympics, she'll
Hmm.
place, but I don't think she will win the gold. So if she can clean up her starts, yeah, she can definitely do it, Jay.
Yeah,
And
that's
if she does
exactly.
that, she will do it. She will do it. If she does
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, man. Like her top end speed is
that.
phenomenal, but man, she is not good coming out of the box. It's almost
No.
like she pops up immediately. It's
Yeah.
like one step and she's standing straight
Mhm.
up, like no dry phase whatsoever. So they got to try to get that fixed because I don't know, like, can she be like a Carl Lewis and just run everybody down the last 50 meters?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to
I don't
be
know, Jay.
interesting. Britt, what do you think? Can she bring home the gold?
I think she can. I absolutely think she can. She proved that at the World Championships last year. And remind you when they first started, she was, I think, in last, and then she made a surge the
Yeah.
last 50 meters or so. She came out of nowhere. She was in the very last lane 8, I believe she was in, and beat Sharika Jackson and Shelly and Fraser Price, who are really hard to beat. Like, I know Shelly and Fraser Price is old, but she was still one of the fastest. I shouldn't say old, older
Older,
in the
yeah.
game. She was older in the game. And then Sharika Jackson, she's older, but she's still one of the fastest runners in the game right now. So I think her confidence propelled even after that. But I agree with K Walk. It made me nervous when she stumbled the way she did. It's one thing for you to stumble forward, her speed will most likely catch up and she'll get her balance, but she stumbled to the side, which could
Yeah.
throw you off big time. So um I'm hoping that her and her coach get together, fix that start, and then if that happens, I think no doubt that she'll be the winner. I mean, she stumbled and still, I think she set the record at 1071, I
Ten
believe.
seven one. 10-7-1. Yeah.
1071, because that they had to calculate
10-7-1.
the win,
Win. Yeah.
the factor in the wins along with it. So that was a 1071, and that was a record at that particular meet. So, or
Mhm.
at that track. So if she continue on that without that stumble, she's running like a 1065 at least.
Yeah.
So I think she got it.
Yeah, I think she's going to bring it home as well. It'll be a great redemption story for everything that she's been through. But we
Yeah.
know the Jamaicans are going to be tough. Like they're going
Yeah.
to bring 2 or 3
Absolutely.
sprinters that are absolutely going to challenge her. But I think she brings home gold. I think it works out for her for sure.
Yeah,
All
Mike,
right.
Go
you're
ahead.
absolutely right with Melissa Jefferson, and this is why I
Yeah.
say Sha Carri Richardson can't afford to stumble out of the blocks because you have runners like Melissa Jefferson. Good point there, Mike.
Yeah. And Melissa Jefferson is very talented as well. I
Yeah.
love her. TT Terry, that's my girl.
Woo. Yeah.
But my favorite is Shakari Richardson, and I think
Mhm.
she got it
All right, last topic, guys, before we get out of here. The NBA draft is coming up soon. A
tomorrow.
lot, a lot of talk, guys, about different players in the draft, but the one guy I want to talk about tonight is Bronny James. Simple, Britt. Should he get drafted, or will he get drafted? However you want to go with that, and if so, who do you think picks up Bronny?
I mean, to be honest with you guys, jeez. To be honest with you, I mean, he only worked out with who? 2 teams. So, and that was what, Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Lakers, right? So, I don't think any team has really had the opportunity to be able to look at him. All they go off of is the NBA combine and his tape, and it's not much of a tape because he was hurt due to his heart situation, which was unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I understand he trains a lot with some of the NBA level trainers, but will he get drafted? Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, he will get drafted. Should he get drafted? No. I think he should have stayed another year in college. I do think he has some NBA abilities, but I think he still needs time to develop, or at least take another year in college to really work on your skill set and work towards getting into the NBA. I'm not sure if it's going to be the Lakers. I feel like there's going to be a team in there that's going to surprise us and end up drafting Bronny. I really do. Maybe it's because, okay, we kind of like this kid because people have comparing him to a poor man's version of a Drew Holiday and a couple other players, which I do believe he can develop into that type of player. But I think he should have waited another year. But to answer your question, Jay, yes, he will get drafted, which is yeah.
K-Walk, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Brett. I think he should not be drafted, but I believe he will be drafted. And if the Lakers, if LeBron has his way, which it looks like he's had it up until this point, he's gonna, force the Lakers' hand, maybe because he has that player option. He had that $51 million player option, and so he can easily say, "Look, you get LeBron. I mean, you get Bronny, and I'll stay." You don't, I might, opt out and go wherever Bronny is, because he's made it known, that he wants to play with his son. I mean, I don't think any player, in my day, no father son has ever played together in the NBA. So he wants to be the first of doing that. He's an elite scorer, so he wants to build on his legacy and put a notch in his belt, check a box, if you will, and all those good things. So I think the Lakers go and get him. I think they do. They may I don't know if they'll trade. They don't have anything to trade. So I don't know what they'll do if they have to move up, if somebody goes out there and gets him. So what do you want for Bronny? Something like that. But I think that he does get drafted, and I think it's a great chance that the Lakers will draft him.
Yeah, and K-Walk, that's kind of why last night when we were doing our mock draft, I had the Lakers take Bronny at 17. And I know that's crazy. Like, I know he's not on anybody's board that high. I know it's crazy, Rick. But I think, like K-Walk mentioned, like there might be a team out there that's just trying to be slick. And they might say, if I grab Bronny, could that shake things up for LeBron? And is grabbing Bronny maybe worth running the risk of saying, if I grab him, does that change LeBron's thought process? Would LeBron be willing to come play with us if we've got his son? So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple teams out there, maybe not that high, high, but once you get around 28, 29, 30, there might be some teams that are willing to do that. And the Lakers don't pick again until 55, I think.
Yeah.
So it's either secure him at 17 or run the risk of maybe somebody else snatching him up. So I just think that that's going to be something interesting to keep an eye on. I don't know.
You know what's unfortunate about the situation, though, and I have a lot of respect for Bronny. I love his mindset. I love how hard that he works to get even to this point. Although I do feel like he should go back to college and develop. I don't know about this whole Bronny LeBron situation. I just feel like this is causing someone of better talent at this moment getting left behind because teams are so focused on LeBron wanting to play with Bronny, that they'll do anything to go get Bronny James. And now there's a much more talented player that deserves that spot, that's proven to be in that spot, and they're not going to get selected or they're not going to get recognized because of this whole entire situation. To me, it's frustrating and it's unfortunate. So now, unfortunately, not everybody can be LeBron's kid. And it's like the NBA and people in general just need to recognize that. Like somebody in the comments said, Mikey Williams still better than him. To me, I agree. I just don't think Bronny is there yet.
Yeah, he definitely needs some development. There's no doubt about that. And whether he's going to do it like just being in an NBA program or if he plays in the G League, I mean, who knows what that development's going to look like. But it's going to be very interesting to kind of see where those chips fall on draft night for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get ready to wrap this show up here in a minute, but do us a favor. If you're listening right now, if it's your first time listening to us, if you came over from Man Down Sports, but you stayed for us after he left, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We are trying to grow this channel. It's a labor of love in doing that, but we appreciate your help. We appreciate your support. And we're live here every Tuesday night, so come back and join us again next week for sure. But before we get out of here, K-Walk, let the people know where they can find you and if there's anything you're looking forward to for this week.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Kevin.Walker142. You can find me on Facebook, Kevin Walker, on X at Kevin Walker142 as well. You can find me tomorrow night, Sports Talk with K Walk and E Scott. Never Had It So Good Sports Radio, 7 p.m. every Wednesday. Wherever you get your podcast, ladies and gentlemen, please tune in. Again, it's Sports Talk with K Walk on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. The link will be in my on my pages as well. Got a great one down for you tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. I might put up $25 to the winner. Check it out, and you'll see what I'm talking about. What I'm looking for is just, we got baseball, we got WNBA, ladies and gentlemen. Just looking forward to that. Britt mentioned the draft is tomorrow night, so it's going to be very interesting to see where Bronny goes. If not tomorrow night, Thursday night for sure. So just definitely looking forward to everything there.
All right, good stuff. And you guys can find me at Jason Talk Sports on all the social media platforms at Jason Talk Sports. And yeah, K-Walk, I'm looking forward to diving deeper into WNBA. I've been watching pretty much all the games, but now I'll really dive in, and then obviously we'll certainly be paying attention to the draft. Britt, what say you?
You guys can we appreciate, I'm sorry, real quick, guys. We appreciate it, Mikey. Thank you so much. He said
Appreciate
great
it,
show.
Mike.
I just want to recommend this show to my friends. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate that.
Indeed.
But you guys can find me at on IG and Twitter, aka X, at Brittany Monique. I'm here. I'm not really on TikTok, but it's at Brittany Monique on TikTok as well. Main channels is Instagram and Twitter. But I'm looking forward most to WNBA, the rest of the WNBA season. I know they're getting ready to take a break because the Olympics are fast approaching. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I'm huge into track. And please, can I shout out Simone? Is it Simone Manuel, the swimmer?
Yeah. Woo.
The swimmer. I gotta shout her out. It's not too many of us black folks that compete that high of a level in swimming. So we got to shout her out. And for the men's side, it's I think his name is Shane Kaskas, I believe. I think he's from Texas. He's doing his thing as well. But baseball and then NFL football, that training camp is fast approaching as well. So those are the things I'm mostly looking forward to.
All right, good stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys listening. Again, we'll be back here live next Tuesday at 7 p.m. So for Brittany Jones and Kevin Walker, I'm Jason Collins, and we'll see you guys next week.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Brittany Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.